And Gerald Celente is one of the leading, if not the leading, long-term trend forecasters. And he said early last year, he said by the end of 2010, the U.S. will be technically bankrupt and will be in a depression. Now, most of the other economists and analysts we interviewed at that time said, yes, we are now at the point of no return. The dollar has been devalued. Commodities are going up. We never left the recession. We're in a depression. But we're now under 21st century mind control where they tell us the economy's rebounded and is great, even though S&P has come out and said that it's a negative outlook on the U.S. keeping its credit rating. Will basically become like a third world nation. The Chinese are dumping the dollar at record rates. The Saudis know they've been double-crossed with the attempted military overthrow by the globalists there and surrounding them. So they've said that demand is low, so they're cutting production when demand's at an all-time high. There's no doubt we're in the first stages of a serious economic depression, and Gerald Celente was right. But it's just like people send me emails and media makes jokes. Jones says buy gold. What a kook. They actually say this. He first said buy it at $260. Now it's $1,510. He said buy silver when it was $5. Now it's 46 plus. It's like saying, man, this guy, you know, told you your house was on fire and it was on fire. He's a nut. I mean, we've entered a la-la land world where they tell us the war in Libya isn't a war, ground troops on the ground isn't a ground war, and there won't be a ground war, though they say it's a ground war, but it isn't a ground war. They've raised the radiation levels between 1,000 to 100,000 times what they say was safe previously, because we have over 500 times safe levels in cesium, cesium, and radioactive iodine 131. We are now entering a la-la land Orwellville that is so bizarre, where they knowingly think the public's dumbed down and continue to tell us that up is down, down is up, black is white. Gerald Celente, how do you quantify what's happening? Has civilization gone crazy?
I say everything is it's the presidential reality show. People have lost their minds. They become prescription drug addicted and fast food fattened. America doesn't have the fight anymore. As I mentioned to you, people say, oh, you're a gloom and doomer. I came out with Trends 2000, my book, back in 1997, a Warner book. And I was so optimistic about the nation. People were talking about moving forward in positive ways. And as you said, up is down and down is up. They don't call a war in Libya a war. It's what? A time-limited, scope-limited action. The UK is now sending over, quote, advisors, and Italy and France, officers. What am I, 6 years old?
And they were already there months ago. They were there before it started.
Well, I know, but now they're admitting it. But they're putting these white shoe boy names on them. Advisors. That's what they call the Vietnam War. Hey, remember Korean War? That was a police action. Nothing's really changed. It's only getting worse. And as you're talking about the economy, I read something from Jim Sinclair. He really put it well. He said something to the effect of Orwell's 1984, how they used to keep blasting out these messages and putting them on the big screen. He said, now, the business networks are the 1984, putting out the propaganda. And that's all it is. It's more propaganda on top of all propaganda. They won't call a spade a spade. Everybody knows that the only reason that this economy is keeping up at any level at all is because of all the digital money that they've dumped into the system, the trillions. Look what gold is doing. You mentioned I called gold at 275. You called it at 260. And look where it is now. Oh, and by the way, here's one for you. Go to Forbes magazine. They did a big story on me. You know what they called it? They called it something about doomsayers forecasting. And we had forecast at that time gold was around $720 an ounce. They interviewed my assistant, who when she came to work for us, her bond company went bust. She cashed out all her 401ks and put it into gold. And then, now remember, gold is about $725 at the time.
It's more than doubled since then a few years ago.
Exactly. So now they write this. Well, Celente's a doom and gloomer, and gold could go down as easily go down below 5.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're bad because we're right.
So now we contacted these little weasels that Forbes, this guy would be nothing if his daddy didn't have any money, right? Now, you know, he's the big mouth out there. Do you know they won't even write a retraction? They won't even say that we're right. After they took a cheap shot at me, that flabbermouth out there, he's all over the place. Celente was right, Forbes was wrong. And they won't give you any credit for it.
Well, they also run around. They also run around.
They pounce on you, as you know.
Well, they also run around and say that you're wrong about saying we're in a depression. By every yardstick, what, 3/4? Oh, yeah. 3/4 of no growth and a few other indicators is a depression. We're now, with Cook Books, several years into no growth, with the debt spiraling out of control. If this isn't a depression, with half the restaurants I used to go to being closed where I live, commercial real estate going under, the news coming out that private real estate, home real estate is still plunging, and they tell us that's great.
Look at the numbers. Home real estate values are down to worse than Great Depression levels. How's that for a Depression-era level? Go to John Williams' shadow statistics. Look up the unemployment rate. It's around 22%. Here, try this one on, Alex. Yeah, there's a recovery. You know where the recovery's coming from? 10% of the population in the United States owns 90% of all the stocks, all the bonds, all the mutual funds. 5% owns 63% of everything. No, there's not a depression. Oh, in the meanwhile out there, everybody's wages have declined. Oh, but there's not inflation out there. Oh, no, they cook those numbers too. Of course there's a depression going on. People are losing everything.
All right, I want to go back because you can always remember what journal, what date, and people can go to your website and pull it up and see it for themselves. But I remember over a year ago, because it was early 2010, you said it's going to be clear that it's a depression by the end of the year, and it's clear a few months ago. And you said there's going to be war, and it's going to be in the Middle East, it's going to be in Central Asia, and you absolutely called it. What journal was that, so people can go to Trends Research?
The Spring 2010 Trends Journal. It was the Great War. And then this past autumn, we came out with Off With Their Heads 2.0. And the Trends Journal, it just came out yesterday. The whole issue is devoted to the first great war of the 21st century. You put all the pieces together, Alex, when you're talking about the police state we're living in, because they know it's happening. It's out of control, and the last thing they're going to do is to control us. That's all the plan. Look, Libya's not a one-off. Tunisia, Egypt, Bahrain, Yemen, Algeria, Morocco, Syria, Jordan.
How did you know? How did you know?
Because the whole, you know how I knew? For the same reason Bernie Madoff knew. Bernie Madoff did an interview recently, and he said what we've been saying all along. It's nothing more than one big Ponzi scheme. When they came out with the TARP bailouts in 2008, we sent out a trend alert, and we said in that trend alert that when all else fails, they take you to war. That's what's going on. They can't bail out any more European banks. Oh, and by the way, this hardly made the news. As you know, Finland just voted in a new party. They're not going to be party to the bailouts. If all the European nations, the EMU nations, don't go into the bailouts, it doesn't happen. Where are they? What's a bailout, by the way? Oh, here's a bailout for you. What bailout? How about bailing in? They give you more debt. They cannot handle the debt load.
Well, the bankers get the money, and then we get to pay them interest for the right to give them money. That's how sick this is. The Wall Street Journal reports today a 77% profit in 2010 for General Electric, who basically runs the White House Economic Council and paid zero corporate tax, ladies and gentlemen, and it's GE and their MSNBC scapegoating the middle class, Alex Jones, Gerald Celente, you know, doctors, lawyers, professors. We're being scapegoated and told we've got to pay more to, quote, fix the debt, but the money that we pay goes right to the bankers.
Exactly, and that's why we came off with that, with the Off With Their Heads Trends Journal. And that's what's going on in Europe. The only reason why Europe hasn't imploded yet, like the Middle East, is because there, in the Middle East, people have their autocrats, the monarchs, the dictators. In Europe, they're still living under the illusion that they have a democracy. So, like in Ireland, they just put in another criminal group to replace the other criminal group. They're still living under the illusion that you can change it in the ballot box.
And let me stop you. The system knows the illusion is wearing thin, and so now everything we've told people about, because it was public, is now being announced. Not just Apple, all smartphones under federal law, Telecommunications Act of '96, track you in real time, upload your location, give them all your data. Police all over the country have wireless systems with back doors. They don't even hack it. That get into your phone and steal everything off of it. They're just doing it. They pull you over for speeding, grab your phone without a warrant, plug it in, steal your data. TSA doing the same thing when you try to fly, steal your laptop data. I mean, they are so criminal, Gerald. And you go back last year, Bloomberg reports, 11 years ago, secret deal signed, Veterans Affairs with the big insurance companies to secretly steal the life insurance money of World War III vets through current vets. I mean, to even get my mind around how unbelievably criminal they are and that they've been authorized to do it, it staggers the imagination that they're going for broke. They've committed so many crimes, Gerald, they're not going to stop.
Alex, you know that I was one of the first people when they started all these bailouts under Bush and then continued under Obama, and they called it socialism and Marxism. I said, no, it's not. It's fascism. Fascism has come to America. The merger of state and corporate powers. You just talked about GE. Do you have to go any further than that? You could keep going down the line. You're talking about all the apps and everything else with how the companies are all working in tandem together to rob us. Fascism has come to America. Here, try this one on. I unilaterally decided that our core interests and that of our allies are at stake. So we're going to bomb Libya. Whatever happened to we the people? That's a really, you know, an arcane concept.
Whatever happened to Congress is illegal.
Exactly, but I'm saying it's gone, it's over. And that's what our issue is, the first great war. And what we're telling people to do is to prepare, survive, and prevail. Because people better grow up here. The game is over. Here's a good one for you. Today, Hillary Clinton.
Gerald, stay there. You know what? I know you've got other interviews probably coming up, and you've agreed to 5 minutes to the next hour, but this is too powerful today, having you on for just 30. I'll just ask live on air. I don't know. Can you do 20 minutes, 30 into the next hour, or you got to go?
It's impossible. I could do a couple of minutes into it, but I have another one coming up.
I understand. We'll have to get you back very soon because it is. We have to admit it's over. Stay there. When we come back, we'll break it down. Then the show will be over. Ask yourselves, what are you doing in this time of great challenge? What are you doing to unlock minds?